It's June. I learned that there's a boys love game that is actually available on the Switch. I had enough Nintendo eShop points or whatever it is to buy it without actually spending real money. So here it is. It's called Blind Men. I literally know nothing about it. I'm not going to use a strategy guide or anything. We're going to play this through and I'm going to get probably the worst ending because I have talent like that. I guess this is our hero, Keegan? I don't know. But when I was 7, I was sent to live with my uncle. I had just lost my parents to a car accident, the same one that left the right side of my face disfigured. He did his best to make me feel welcome, but it wasn't enough. Bullied by my peers and ignored by people that were supposed to help me, I didn't fit in anywhere, and I spent most of my childhood thinking that it was somehow all my fault. One day, after I came home crying, my uncle pulled me aside and said to me, "People are fools, Keegan. Blinded by their own stupidity, they seek to destroy what they don't understand. But people like you and me, we're different. We're better. Never forget that." I finally understood what I had to do. I'd follow my uncle's footsteps and I'd show them. By the way, this game is about a supervillain. Like, the main character is a supervillain. I do know that much. And there's a love interest of another spy and I guess a secret agent, as you saw on that title screen. I'm perfectly confident in my ability to deliver a flawless application, of course, but one can never be too sure. Which is exactly how I ended up asking one of my uncle's henchmen for his opinion on my application. Oh, look at him. "It's about passion! Common criminals are a dime a dozen, but being a supervillain requires true dedication." He claps his hands together in excitement. He's almost as enthusiastic as I am about the idea of me getting to join the League, which makes the fact that I have no idea of what his name is rather embarrassing. His name is backwards S, as seen by his sleeve. "You don't need to worry so much. Right from the heart, and you'll do fine. Besides, you're Sphinx's nephew. It runs in the family. He said so himself. Because intelligence agencies were always looking for my uncle, we never stayed too long in one place. As a result, I was homeschooled for most of my life. But ever since I finished my high school studies 3 years ago, he's been trying to get me to enroll in college. An actual college with other normal people." Oh, look at that. Look at them setting it up so that he's of age and there's nothing squishy about him. He's not like a high schooler. "Speaking of the boss, when are you planning to tell him?" "The next time I see him, I suppose. It will be better if he hears it from me now and not from the League after I get accepted." "Well, here's your chance. He's heading our way." "What?" I turn around and see my uncle walking through the door. He's never been a particularly expressive man, but he looks even more serious than usual. Oh man, we get the uncle. "You're early." Oh, that sure is an uncle. Not quite what I was hoping, but we'll make do. He's kind of like Lex Luthor style. "Anything I can help with, boss?" "No." "And how many times do I have to tell you that you don't need to call me that?" "Sorry, I spend so much time with the henchmen it rubs off after a while." Among other things. "Uncle? Really? That was years ago, and it only happened once." What? What? Alright. If I'm reading the right insinuation on this. "As far as I know, only because he got eaten by a shark before it could happen again." Yes, the time the feeding cage malfunctioned and our perfectly trained sharks decided to have him for lunch instead. What an unfortunate coincidence. The reason I don't want to go to college is because I want to become a supervillain, just like you. In fact, I've already contacted the League. They think I've got a lot of potential, Uncle. They're just waiting for me to submit my full application." "Are you sure about this?" "I've never been more sure about anything." "Have you decided how you're going to call yourself?" That's a weird sentence structure, but we'll go with it. "If you are serious about this, I won't be the one to stop you. But you are going to do this properly. You'll use my lair and my men." Oh my. "Thank you, Uncle. I promise I won't disappoint you." "Of course you won't. Now come, tell me more about your plan." Ooh, Germany. Like, seriously, game designers, give me some music, please. I pretend to adjust a strand of hair behind my ear, pressing the button in my earpiece to increase the volume. There's the music. And the sexy henchman. I guess he's not like sexy, but he's backwards-ass sexy. As an aspiring supervillain, particularly one hoping to join the League, there are two things to be taken into account when it comes to carrying out plans: visibility and chance of success. Just like there's no point in doing something so uninspired that it barely makes it to the local news, there's no point in getting arrested on national television. Finding balance is key, and that's exactly why I've chosen Bonn's National Museum of Science as my target. But starting today, the museum will be hosting the Schultz-Holt collection of rare minerals, its main piece being the famous Engellag diamond. I don't know if I pronounced that right, and I'm sorry if I didn't. Besides being one of the largest cut precious stones known to man, its purity and chemical composition make it one of the most versatile energy conductors in the world. In addition to the exhibit itself, the museum board has also invited Professor Schultz to give a conference at the end of the inauguration party. Schultz is both a geologist and a political activist, and he's greatly respected in both fields. To make sure that no other villain interferes, I told both the League and my uncle that I'd be planting bombs in the museum and holding the guests hostage for a ransom. But actually, my real plan is... Ooh. Do I want to steal the diamond or kidnap Professor Schultz? I'm going to go ahead and say steal the diamond, because keeping a person captive is a lot harder than keeping a thing. Stealing the Engellag certainly won't get me any points for originality. It's changed hands so many times it has to be authenticated every time it shows up. But with so many important people here, a robbery is bound to get all the media attention I need and then some. Besides, I can think of a thing or two that I can do with the diamond itself in the time that it takes me to find a buyer for it. It's a great plan, if I say so myself. As I approach, the first thing I see is a man surrounded by a small group of people, most of them women. Now by himself, the man takes a seat next to another blonde man. He leans back on the chair and begins swinging it back and forth. Oh ho ho, it's our secret agent. At least, sorry, I just kicked the microphone. At least I assume that's the secret agent. I wonder if your choice for the diamond or the professor changes who you meet first. Never mind, they're both there. Alright, so here's the secret agent and I guess the other bad guy. Which one would you choose? I'm kinda... like, I'm edging for the other bad guy, but I'm probably sure my choices will be the spy. They're both alright. No wonder he was surrounded by women. He's pretty handsome. And the man next to him isn't too bad himself either. Definitely a much better view than what I had at the lobby. Having fun? Oh, his name is Hunter. Oh my goodness. From his body language and his accent, I'd say he's American. Drink? He raises the glass towards me. I saw him order it, but I didn't see the bartender pour it, so of course I'm not going to accept it. Look at that safety tips. It's quite good, isn't it? German alcohol is one of the two reasons I'm glad the Soviets only got to keep half of the country. And the other one is? Germans! By now it's become clear that he's flirting with me. Whether he's actually doing a good job is a different point altogether. I decide to... oh man. Do I want to flirt back or try to get rid of him? Like, he's not bad. I kind of... the Playboy route is fun. But we would be star-crossed lovers as a supervillain and a spy. Screw it, I'll flirt back. Why not? Well, two can play the same game. Let's see him put his money where his mouth is. Of course, one of those things is much more fun than the other. He laughs, puts down one of the glasses, and offers me his free hand. I take it and give him a grin in return. The handshake lasts a couple of seconds more than strictly necessary, and instead of simply letting go at the end, he slides his fingers across my palm. Wow, they play fast in this game. I curl my fingers slightly so that they interlock briefly at the end. That does it. He begins ogling me in what's possible the least subtle manner known to man. That's quite impressive. all the better for me. I like them smart. With a grin, he puts a hand on my shoulder and leans closer to me until his face is practically touching mine. Like, listen, I'm used to playing Japanese games where, like, hand-holding is an end game. This is moving very fast. His breath feels hot against my ear, and, mixed with the faint smell of alcohol coming from him, it's enough to send a shiver down my spine. Maybe we could discuss some of your ideas in private. I'm tempted, so very tempted. But if I miss Schultz, my thesis supervisor will have my head. I take a step back and he lets go of my arm. What a shame, but I understand. Next time, then? He picks up the glass, chugs down the rest of the drink, and winks at me before turning around and walking away. As soon as he's out of my sight, I let out a sigh. What gall! If I had been anyone else, this could have ended ugly for him. Ugly? Listen, alright, so the grammar's not the best in this game, but hey, it's a small studio, I'll give them some leeway. Well, it doesn't matter, I'm not planning to see him again anytime soon. When one of the ushers takes my ticket, I recognize him as one of my uncle's men, just like the henchman said. He directs me toward a free seat at the corner of one of the middle rows. Perfect. Nothing would ruin a dramatic entrance like having to ask people to stand up so I can get to the stage. Once I'm at the seat, it quickly becomes obvious why no one had taken it yet. Sitting next to me is the blonde man from the hall, reading the program with an expression on his face just as unfriendly as the one he had back there. Excuse me, is this seat taken? He looks at me, shakes his head, and goes back to reading without a single word. Under any other circumstances, I wouldn't care, but come on, he talked to the other man at the bar, and I don't get more than a side glance? He looks like he's assessing me and trying to intimidate me at the same time. If I'm completely honest with myself, why am I interested in talking with him? I would go for this top one. Because I don't want anyone to ignore me. I'm a supervillain, everyone must know me. It's a matter of pride, really. Being related to a supervillain, and soon to be one myself, I may need to keep a low profile, but I won't stand for being so blatantly disregarded. Sergei, oh god, he's Russian. I don't do a good Russian accent, so we're gonna try anyway, but I'm sorry for anyone who cares. And if my Russian accent turns out terrible, maybe I'll stop it. Having an interest in geoscience is not a crime either. Of course not, but you do know that he'll be giving the conference in German, don't you? And frankly, the translators the museum usually hires are terrible. I'm speaking with you, aren't I? My German is good enough. This is quite different from a scientific presentation. What do you really want? I'm just trying to have a conversation with the person sitting next to me. Why, should it be about something else? No, of course not. We exchange a look of suspicion before he goes back to reading, not without hesitation. Seems like I'll have to keep an eye on him. At my signal, the doors burst open and the henchmen appear, while the ones that had been posing as ushers hurry to lock the doors behind them. I stand up and am escorted to the stage by that one henchman whose name I should probably know by now. While we walk, he goes ahead and hands me the control of the bombs. It's mostly for show since we only wired enough bombs to mess up some of the less important rooms slightly, while the rest are decoys set to release smoke. There has been a slight change of plans, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. If you cooperate and do exactly as you are told, no one will get hurt. When you look back to this moment in a few years, you'll realize that it was the most important day of your lives. Scientific achievements, political careers, everything you've done will pale in comparison to this instant. And that is because today, you'll become part of history. You'll have the honor of witnessing the birth of one of the greatest supervillains known to man, Dr. Cyclops. You know what? That sure is a name. As of right now, you also have the honor of being my hostages. Hopefully the government values your lives. I'm briefly interrupted by the sound of talking coming from amongst the seats. I decide to ignore it and continue. Enough to pay the... When it happens again, I stop speaking and begin to look over the crowd, searching for the source of the interruption. Stepping around the henchman's unconscious body, he puts a hand inside his jacket and takes out a gun. At first, I'm amused by the idea of getting shot by an overeager drunk, but he manages to point it right at me just fine. Agent Hunter, Global, you're all under arrest. Shit. I decide to try and bluff, so I shrug and laugh it off. Nice try, but you wouldn't risk a shootout in a room full of civilians, or for me to blow this place sky high. I pick up the control and put my index finger on the big red button on the middle of it. One false move and I'll push it. With you still inside? No, I don't think so. As for your henchmen, my aim is pretty good, and something tells me none of them want to be the one that gets their boss shot. Guess we'll have to see who's faster. Get him! The henchmen are getting ready to fire when I'm blinded by a flash of white light. Out of instinct, I drop the control and raise my arm to cover my good eye, but the movement makes me lose my balance, and I end up falling back. Grenade! Everyone get down! It takes a couple of seconds for my eyesight to come back completely, and a couple more for me to regain enough strength to be able to stand up. In front of me, Agent Hunter points his gun in my direction and begins to approach, or at least he's trying to. His hand is shaking so much that it's obvious he's just as disoriented as I am. I frown. If it wasn't him, then who? He looks at me, then at the floor, and stops. I look down as well and realize why. It's the control! He hurls himself forward and grabs it. I take the opportunity to kick the gun out of his other hand, but he holds onto my leg and pulls me down with him. We both end up on the floor, trying to wrestle the control out of each other's hands. While Hunter may be stronger, right now I'm the one in better condition, so I manage to hold my own against him. We keep rolling around on the floor until I manage to flip him over and pin him down. Has someone ever told you that this is your best angle? Shut up and give it back! As we continue to struggle for the control, I notice someone get on the stage out of the corner of my eye. I turn my head and see the blonde man from the lobby walk up to the diamond's case and lift it up. It's a brief distraction, but it's enough to give Hunter the upper hand he needs to push me off him. When I fall back, the control is sent flying into the air, and Hunter and me stare at it as it lands right on the detonator. Well, shit. Of course, nothing happens. It's a decoy, isn't it? Hunter shakes his head in disbelief, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. But instead of looking angry, he seems rather amused by the whole situation. Having decided that his immediate business with me is done, he runs past me and onto the stage to catch up with the other man. They begin fighting over the diamond right away, trying to keep the other from getting a proper hold on it. They're pretty evenly matched at first, but the longer the fight lasts, the more Hunter struggles to keep up. Whoever the Russian is, it's clear that he's not just a random guest or some opportunistic thief. It will be an easy mission, they said. No one cares about that old rock anymore, they said. What does the KGB even want with it? Don't you commies dislike everything that may be worth more than a ruble? Be quiet. That diamond is the property of the Soviet government. I've come to take it back. Global and the KGB? I knew there was something odd about those two. Boss, we should leave. By now the room is almost empty, and the only ones left here besides the four of us are the rest of the henchmen. I shake my head. Like hell we are. I'm not going back empty-handed. Get everyone out of here and meet me by the vehicle. I'll take care of this myself. He gives me a hesitant look. When he doesn't move, I snap my fingers to get him to hurry. What are you waiting for? Go! I walk back to the stage where the Russian managed to open the case's lock while also keeping Hunter away from it. There's no way I can take them both out on my own and get away with the diamond. But if I wait for one to deal with the other, and I corner whoever gets it on his way to the exit, I may have a chance. They both reach out to grab the diamond at the same time, but instead they knock it over, and it rolls all the way behind the curtain. The Russian pushes Hunter out of the way and goes after it, with Hunter following a second later. I lose them from sight for about a minute, my view obscured by the curtain. Finally, a hand pulls the curtain aside. Oh. Well, I think I'm gonna have better luck fighting the agent, since he's a little bit roughed up by now, but the Russian is intriguing. But if I go with the agent, I don't have to do as much of the Russian accent. So I know what I said about not really wanting to go with the agent, but we're gonna. He's kind of winning me over with his roguish ways. I see Agent Hunter crawl out from under the curtain, holding the diamond in his free hand. He looks a little beat up, but he's in a much better shape than I'd expect him to be after fighting the Russian, mainly because he's still in one piece. Hunter stands up and puts the diamond inside his jacket before running his fingers through his hair in an attempt to comb it back in place. Since he didn't head toward the front entrance, that means Hunter must be intending to get out using the emergency exit. I turn at one of the hallways, hoping that I'm not wrong. I get to the exit and Hunter arrives a couple of seconds after me, just enough time to put myself between him and the door. Bingo! He stops dead as soon as he sees me, his eyes widening with surprise. "This is it, Agent. Hand over the diamond." "You're still here? Listen, it's been fun and everything, but I really have to go now. You're cute, and I don't want to have to beat you to go through you, or arrest you. Why don't you do us both a favor and get away before either the police or other agents arrive?" "No way! As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if I have to chase you all the way to your agency. I'm getting my diamond one way or another." "Watch out!" Before I can react, Hunter grabs me firmly by the hand and pulls me aside with such strength that I struggle to keep my balance. I'm about to protest when a steel beam falls from the ceiling, landing just where we were standing a couple of seconds ago. Both of us instinctively take a step away from it, and we exchange a surprised look. Though we aren't hurt by the fall, the beam ends up in a position that completely blocks the door, and with it, our only way out. Let's go back while we still can. We stop when we reach the seats, and Hunter crouches in the space between them and the stairs before pulling me down so I'm in the same position. It's so small that it's almost suffocating, but there's also not as many things that could potentially fall on us and kill us. "There's something on your Are you alright?" I look down and realize that he's talking about a bloodstain on my shirt. "It's not mine." "Oh, good." "One of the longest minutes of my life. I thought you said the bombs were decoys." "They were! Something else must have happened. Whoever blew the stage must have done it." "That just leaves the Soviet agent, then. I'm pretty sure he was the one who threw the flashbangs." "In that case, let's get out of here. I'd say it was a pleasure, Agent Hunter, but it really wasn't." We start to walk toward the exit. Hunter steps ahead of me and puts a hand on the knob, turning it all the way. He pulls and pushes, but the door doesn't move. "Hurry up and open the door already." It's stuck. Just what I needed, as if this whole thing wasn't bad enough. Now I can't even get out of here. Well, I'm not gonna get angry. I gotta stay calm. I'm a supervillain. Well, I guess supervillains do get angry sometimes, but like, just judging from what I've seen so far, Keegan doesn't seem the type to just get angry. He would stay calm. I take a deep breath to calm myself. He's obviously trying to get a rise out of me. Well, I won't let him. Not over a damn door of all things. This is how it's going to be. We're going to work together until we manage to get out of here. Then we'll part ways and this day never happened. Is it clear? Bossy. I like that. Sounds good to me. I pinch the bridge of my nose and close my eyes while I repeat to myself that he's just doing it to annoy me. Just shut up and follow me, alright? I've got the blueprints memorized and you've got 2 working eyes, so together we'll hopefully be able to find a way out of here. ... Unfortunately, just as I feared, all the other exits are in pretty much the same condition as the one we tried to open. Feeling exhausted, we decide to move back to the seats, nearer to where we were crouching when we got here. Hunter leans forward against one, then looks at me. You should get changed. That stain is starting to look nasty. Come, I'll give you my jacket. I shake my head. No, I'm wearing my other clothes under these ones. I'll just take these off. He raises an eyebrow and leans forward a little more, suddenly looking very interested. Oh? I glare at him, but he doesn't stop. If anything, it just makes him stare even harder. Even though I'm not actually undressing, the way he's leering at me is making me uncomfortable, so I turn around while I take off the suit. When I'm done, I throw the dirty clothes beside me. Ah, that color suits you. Hunter goes around the seat and sits down, crossing his arms behind his head. I decide to remain standing up, a couple of steps away from him. Damn. And reinforced concrete blocks radio waves, right? Unless they're strong enough, or they have a way of getting out like a signal booster. Why the sudden interest? Hunter raises his left leg and takes off his shoe, sliding off the sole to reveal a phone hidden underneath. Shoe phone. It sounds like we'll be stuck here for a while either way then. You said you were called Dr. Cyclops? Did I hear that right? Yes. As soon as I answer, I feel Hunter's stare on my face. Our eyes meet for about a second before I turn my head away. I have never been self-conscious about my eye, but that doesn't mean I want people staring at it. Specifically? I don't know what word they wanted to use there, so I'm going to say especially when they do what Hunter is doing right now. They don't know whether saying something would offend me, so they end up making that expression while they decide. Hunter is worse about it too, because he keeps mixing it with awful pickup lines. Yes, it's because of the eye. Was it during a job? No, it was an accident. Just drop it. I expect him to ignore me and continue asking about it, but instead there's a moment of uncomfortable silence while he thinks of something else. So, did it hurt more or less? Fine, then what? Then when you fell from heaven. Terrible pickup lines. Are you always like this? What's the matter, Doctor? A little bit of flirting and you're out of your depth? You didn't seem to mind back at the lobby. We were getting pretty friendly before you had to go. I didn't know you were an agent then. If I had, I wouldn't so much have spoken with you. If saying so makes you feel better. What is that supposed to mean? Nothing. I ignore him as I begin to fiddle with my watch, trying to think of something else that we could do to speed up the process of getting rescued. Perhaps I could do something with the laser? No, the beam is too focused. It would only make a small hole on the door. Oh, they're going to use the diamond, I bet. Boom, laser into the diamond, and then it will blow up the door. That's my theory. Let's see if I'm right. Hunter gets up and yawns, raising his arms above his head to stretch. When he adjusts the jacket of his suit, an idea comes to me. That's it! You still have the diamond, right? I can use it to overload my watch. The explosion will be big enough to blow away the door and anything behind it, but not enough to cause any more structural damage. With the added bonus that it won't damage the diamond itself, of course. And even if the debris is too much for us to walk out, opening the door increases the chances of our communicator's signals getting out. Now, give me the diamond. I extend my hand towards him. His expression suddenly becomes a lot less friendly, and he frowns as he crosses his arms. Well, hey, I was right. I can guess science plots. I can't let you have it. Why not? Don't you want to get out of here? Of course I do. But the reason we're here in the first place is because I can't let you have it. I've got a better idea. I'm pretty sure I saw a fire extinguisher while we were looking for a way out. We can use it to freeze the hinges and then break them off to remove the door from the frame. Both options will probably work out just fine, but all things considered, while mine is less laborious, Hunter's is less risky. However, if I can get him to hand the diamond over, that means I might be able to get away with it after all. It doesn't seem like he will just give it to me, though. Distracting him and grabbing the diamond will probably lead to me trying to do some flirtation back and grabbing the diamond. But, like, if I grab a diamond, he can just grab it right back, right? But I would rather do that than follow his plan, because I thought of the diamond and the laser, so we have to go through with that plan. I take a deep breath, staring right into Hunter's eyes as I prepare myself for what I'm about to do. He raises an eyebrow, but says nothing. Before he notices there's something off, or I have enough time to get second thoughts, I grab him by the lapel of his suit and pull him down into a kiss. Damn, boy! You were not messing around when you said distracting him. Oh, we got no CG for this? Sad. He's startled for about a second, but then he starts kissing me back. I feel his hands slide down to the small of my back, pulling me closer until our bodies are pressed against each other. If this goes too much farther, I don't know if I can read this out loud. I saw him put the diamond inside his jacket, so there must be a pocket in there. With some difficulty, I slip a hand under it and begin to feel around. Hunter doesn't seem to realize or isn't concerned about the fact that I'm actually trying to find the diamond, and he lets out an appreciative hum against my lips. I'm almost out of breath when I feel something hard and sharp. It's the diamond. I close my hand around it so that when Hunter steps away, I'm the one left holding it. So this is the kind of thing you're into. The destruction, the danger of meeting an unfortunate and untimely death. If you get that turned on by adrenaline, you could have told me before. Realization seems to hit him right then, and he looks down as he pats his jacket in surprise. Hey, that's not fair. What's the matter, Agent? I thought that's exactly what you wanted. Well, I have the diamond now, so you might as well let me work. Unless you can stop thinking with your dick long enough to try and get it back. Hunter lets out a resigned sigh, and as he takes a step back to move beside me, he raises his hands in front of him, as if to admit defeat. The metal surface of the watch slowly begins to turn red as it heats, and it's not long before the light indicating a malfunction starts to blink. Once smoke begins to come out from it, it's only a matter of seconds before the watch finally explodes. The blast removes the door from the frame completely, basically splitting it in half. My watch is destroyed, but just like I had predicted, the diamond is in perfect shape. It worked! Don't sound so surprised, of course it worked. Let's get out of here before something else happens. There's a noise coming from the other end of the hall. It sounds like steps, and they're getting closer. Hunter puts his arm against my chest to push me back, and we both wait in silence until we can get a better idea of whom the steps belong to. Boss, are you here? It's the henchman! Boss, you're right, thank God. Sphinx is worried sick. He even wanted to come here himself. But he didn't, did he? No, we convinced him to stay, just in case you managed to get out of here yourself. Good. Where are the others? It's just me. Any more people would have alerted the police. They aren't here yet? No, but they're on their way. It's been hours! How are they just on their way? Sorry. They've been wandering this place for hours and the police aren't here yet? That is terrible! Wait a moment. You know Sphinx? Hunter's eyes go wide, and I feel a certain sense of pride at the fact that the mere mention of my uncle's name still causes that kind of reaction in agents. I bet you'd like to hear about that, wouldn't you? Yes, I know Sphinx. The rest is for me to know, and for you to wonder. The idea of causing that same expression myself someday gives me a warm feeling. Right then, the henchman finally seems to notice Hunter's presence and pushes him aside, putting himself between me and him. I raise a hand to get him to back off. Leave him be. Right now, all I want is to get out of here as soon as possible. Besides, the agent has promised not to do anything stupid, isn't that right? Hunter nods half-heartedly, and the henchman moves to the front as they exchange a glare. Lead the way, then. The atmosphere, maybe? Sure. The atmosphere suddenly feels very uneasy, and I get the impression that there's something I'm missing. The vehicle's parked outside, right behind that door. This is as far as I go. It won't be good for either of us if they see us leaving together. Goodbye, Doctor. Hunter takes my hand and shakes it. It's a friendly but fairly impersonal gesture. Given how he acted the last few hours, I'm actually more surprised by the fact he doesn't do anything else. He looks like he's about to say something else, but instead he just turns around and leaves. What's his deal? A few minutes ago he couldn't keep his hands off me. I guess he's right to be suspicious. If I was planning to somehow lure him into a trap, this would be the perfect moment for it. I cross my arms, watching him walk away until he disappears from sight. Good, he finally left. What an annoying man. Can you believe that's the sort of people that Global hires? Why does the League have trouble with them again? I let out a forced laugh, trying to ease the mood. The henchman stops and turns around, staring at me in silence. Besides the seriousness of it, there's something really odd about his expression. What's the matter? He puts a hand inside his jacket and begins looking for something. For the record, it's nothing personal. You were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all. Aw, man, henchman, no! No, henchman, I was gonna hope you were like a secret love option. You gonna betray me like this? What are you talking about? Before I realize what he's doing, he pulls out a gun and points it at me. The fact that it's not the kind the henchmen are issued only adds to my confusion, and as I take a step back, my mind races to think of an explanation, and a way out of this. If you weren't so stubborn, maybe this could have ended differently. I did my best so it wouldn't come to this, but you just wouldn't listen. You just had to stay and get the diamond, didn't you? I'm too tired, and I don't have good enough depth perception to react in time. Fortunately, he doesn't shoot me. Instead, he takes a step forward, hitting me across the face so hard with the butt of the gun that I fall to the floor, doubled up in pain. I put a hand against my face to stop the blood from my brow from getting in my good eye. It's a worthless effort, and between the blood and the swelling, my vision is quickly beginning to blur. Ugh, you son of a bitch! I'm not going to kill you, for old time's sake. You're incompetent as they come, Keegan, but you weren't a bad boss. I've been treated much worse for much less. You have 7 minutes before this place is full of policemen, a little less for global agents. I'd say about 3. You can either stay here and get arrested, or try to get away. Whatever works for you. I raise my head and he clicks the gun as a warning for me to stay down before he starts to walk in the same direction that I saw Hunter take. Now, where did Agent Hunter go? As the henchman walks away, all I can think about is how there's absolutely no way for me to explain all of this to my uncle. Especially because I have no idea what the hell just happened right now and how it relates to me. Was he a mole all this time and none of us noticed? Did Hunter know and that's why he started acting strange all of a sudden? I wait until I can no longer hear the henchman to get up, and I even manage to keep my balance long enough to lean against the nearest wall to use it as support as I walk. As I approach the door, silently hoping that there's actually some sort of vehicle for me to use out there, I hear the sound of the police sirens in the distance. The end. What? Did I really get a bad ending already? Oh, okay, no, question mark. I'm like, I know I'm bad at visual novels and adventure games, but I didn't... That really was an ending? Wow. Never mind. How? Oof. I suck. I suck at games, guys. Well, at least we got to kiss the agent. I wasn't expecting it to end right there. I thought we'd get a little further. Yeah. So that is a very small clip because, again, I always make the wrong decisions of Blind Men. It's, here, let me get the credits of the game while I talk just so you can, like, see who makes it. I am playing on the Switch, by the way, but it's out for, like, PS4 and Steam and, some other shit. I don't know if it's on Xbox or not, I didn't check. But I literally had no idea what this was. I was just like looking at stuff that was on sale on the PSN, and this came up and I'm like, Blind Man, what is that? And then I read the little excerpt and it said it was like a boys love game, or it didn't even say it was boys love, but it definitely showed, you know, that your romantic options were boys. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want that. And it was relatively cheap and I had some Nintendo eShop points, so when I found out it was on the eShop too, I had to pick it up. I'll keep playing around with this game. to hopefully get an ending that isn't shitty like the one I just got. I want Keegan to be a supervillain. I gotta get him there. I may or may not make a video on that though. I just wanted to play this since it's June, it's Pride Month, it's a boys love game. It's like a whole perfect circle of circumstances. So hopefully you enjoyed watching me bumble through that and listening to me voice it. But the art's cute, the writing's cute, maybe some grammar correction. But I guess since the main language is in Spanish, that kind of makes sense that the English wasn't as perfect as it could have been. I bet it's great in Spanish text. But I think it's cute. I'd recommend it. And like I said, I'll give it some more time to play. So, yeah, there's that. Hope it was fun. Enjoy Pride Month. Enjoy whatever you're doing when you watch this. If it's not Pride Month, just enjoy life. And I'll see you next video I make. It's a itsavgbltpta. I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway.